You're listening to the Carl DeMaio Show, the story behind the story. We're leading the fight to take back our state for a better California. You know, people always hear from government employee union bosses that the pay in government is terrible and we need to give salary hikes to our government workers. And you see in the newspaper and on the news a lot of discussions about strikes. Teachers going on strike, sanitation workers going on strike. It's as though these employees say that they're being paid poverty level wages. Well, the politicians are bought by the government employee unions. The strikes are just for public show, and it's all a game. It's all window dressing so that when the politicians do give massive salary hikes and pension spikes and benefit sweeteners to the government employees, that the public says, well, I guess it's reasonable to resolve the strike. It's all for show. Your taxes go up, your services are cut, and these government employees are receiving far more compensation for the work that they're doing than their counterparts in the private sector. Time and time again, we've seen survey after survey show that government employees are paid more than their counterparts in the private sector for the same work. Now, there's a way for us to look into the books of government agencies and find out exactly how much government employees are being paid. Back in 2003, when the city of San Diego was trying to cover up its financial scandal and trying to raise taxes on taxpayers, I started something called the $100,000 Club report, the 100K report. And it's where I basically went in and asked government agencies for their W-2 data, the data that they report to the IRS for earnings for their employees. Like any other employer, like a government, like a private sector company, the city of San Diego, the city of Los Angeles, the city of San Francisco, they have to report W-2 data as an employer to the IRS. And because W-2 data and pay slips are public records, we can get access to those to find out how much people really make. It used to be that the media was conned, and they willingly were conned, just reporting the salaries that are listed in the budget. You open up the budget book and say, oh, well, how much does a firefighter, entry-level firefighter earn? Oh, they only earn $60,000. Well, that's the published salary, base salary. What you don't know is that on top of the base salary, there are step increases, there are specialty pays, there are bonus pays, there are overtime pays that then spike that salary up to over $100,000. And so what you'll have are union bosses saying, well, we're only paying them X amount in the budget. But the budgeted salary is never anywhere near what the government employee actually earns. And so I started the $100,000 Club back in 2003, where we took the W-2 data for the city of San Diego, and we showed just how many people are in the $100,000 Club and how much it has grown year after year after year. As a result of us publishing that information, A, we defeated tax increases, and B, other government agencies started denying us the data. They didn't know what we were asking it for, and when they found out that we were publishing the number of people earning $100 in actual salaries for actual positions, they got real upset and tried to withhold the data. We actually took them to court, and we won, and that data is now generally accepted to be a government document subject to the Freedom of Information Act, the California Public Records Act, etc. In 2010, we handed the project off to the California Policy Center, and they've got a project called Transparent California. If you go to transparentcalifornia.org, you can actually search for the pension payouts and salaries of all these government employees. Now, I want to, before we get to Transparent California, and we're going to be joined by Will Swaim of CPC, to talk about his project. Let me just read some of the salaries in the city of San Diego. You go to transparentcalifornia.org and you put City of San Diego, you click on the City of San Diego, and you 2018 salaries. Coming in at number one, a fire battalion chief, not the fire chief, but a battalion chief. He's earning $360,000. Yep. A fire captain is earning $359,980. A fire engineer, $302,256. Now you might say, well, how are they doing this? In the case of the fire battalion, the published base salary is $78,000. $78,000 is the published base salary. If you look in the budget, that's what you'll see. Fire battalion chief earns $78,000. But that guy, David Gerboth, actually got $360,000 because he pulled in specialty pay of $77,279, overtime pay of $180,857, and he got an additional $23,000 in sweetener benefits. So the budgeted salary is $78,000, but he actually was paid $360,000. You think this is a scam? Yeah, it's a scam. You go through, and here's a police officer who's earning Michael Wallace, police officer, $283,000. His base salary is $91,309, but he got $118,864 in overtime. He got an additional $39,961 in, quote, bonus and specialty pay, and $32,870 in added benefits. Another police officer, Michael Vargas, his base salary is $95,445, but he's earning $279,000. I could go on and on and on, but you get the picture, my friends. You can find trash truck drivers earning $100,000 easily. We found bus drivers when we fought the gas tax earning six figures. A couple bus drivers earning $250,000 a year. Can't make this stuff up. It's all online at transparentcalifornia.org. Now, coming up, we're going to talk to Will Swaim of transparentcalifornia.org and the California Policy Center on some of the challenges they've had in getting this data and making it public to taxpayers like you and me. That's on the Carl DeMaio Show. First, these messages.
Carl DeMaio here. From rating our road improvement funds for bus and bike lanes to gas taxes and congestion taxes, politicians keep making it harder to drive. Traffic will only get worse unless we demand change. Join me, Carl DeMaio, by signing the petition at fixsandiegoroads.org.
Carl DeMaio thinks it's time to clean up the mess in Congress and take a new approach to solving problems. That's why Carl DeMaio is proposing the Fix Congress First plan. Make Congress live under the same laws the rest of us do. No special exemptions. Eliminate lavish congressional pensions and other perks. Force Congress to open up its own books and records to public review. Make Congress read the bills first before they vote on them. No budget, no pay. Permanently take away Congress's pay for every day the budget is late. If we want better results from Washington, we need to start by fixing Congress first. That's why it's time to help Carl DeMaio get his Fix Congress First plan enacted. Sign Carl's petition and help fix Congress first.
You're listening to the Carl DeMaio Show, and we're talking about how we get a light shined on what compensation city, state, county, government employees actually earn. I've said it time and time again. Government employees are very well compensated. They are compensated higher than their counterparts in the private sector. And the only proof that you need to look at are the actual payouts at transparentcalifornia.org, which is a database of all salaries and pensions for local state employees in the state of California. Let me share with you this interview with Will Swaim. He attended an event that he did with the campaign, and we talked about Transparent California.
You're listening to the Carl DeMaio Show, and we're talking about transparency in government. The reason why transparency in government is so important is that we want to know what's going on with our money. You know, we pay all these taxes. We want to know where the money's going. And 85% of every state, county, local government budget, 85% of their budget goes to salaries and benefits, 85%. And that's why transparentcalifornia.org is such a powerful website, because it gives you full information immediate transparency, line of sight into the salaries and the benefits, the compensation packages of state and local government employees. And joining me on the Carl DeMaio Show is Will Swaim from California Policy Center. You've heard him before on the podcast talking about the Janus decision and union dues and opting out of unions, but also on our terrestrial show. He's been on a number of times. Will, thanks for stopping by.
A pleasure.
Okay, so transparentcalifornia.org. The website has both the salary payouts and the pension payouts and the benefit costs for every single government employee. How did you put this together?
Well, let me first point out that we could not have done this without the participation of our partners in Nevada, of all places, the Nevada Policy Research Institute and PRI, and particularly a guy there named Robert Fellner. And Robert worked with the CPC team to file Public Records Act requests. The California Public Records Act, like the federal FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, declares basically all public documents are owned by the public. If the government works on something, that work product becomes ours.
If you write on a Post-it note as a secretary at the Department of Environmental Protection in Sacramento, that is now a government document. And that Post-it note must be produced if I ask for it.
That's correct. So with Robert and Craig Alexander, who's our lead attorney at California Policy Center, we filed hundreds of Public Records Act requests up and down the state and asked each of the government agencies that employs a Californian to do some work. We asked them, how much are you paying this person in salary and benefits? And of course, a number of them refused to comply.
Oh, that's private information. We're not giving up the big salary pay stub of the CEO and all the other workers. That would let people in on the scam.
Basically, that was the response. Yeah, like this is confidential.
Private information.
Yes. So to know that Will Swaim makes X amount of dollars and this job title is just, a violation of privacy.
To reveal how much do you actually pay people at the Park and Rec department to cut grass, or how much do you pay someone to push paper at the Development Services Department? That's all confidential information.
Right.
Top secret.
Well, so when we finally won all of these cases.
Yeah.
So the Transparent California website is terrific at being a repository not only of current employees, but also retired.
You go back to 2010.
That's right. And so anybody who has been retired, receiving a pension's in there too. My mom is in there. Yeah. She's a retired school teacher, for instance.
And we will say that the name of the person is revealed, the position is revealed, the amount of money they earned is revealed, and we're not trying to shine a light on any one individual. That's not what we're trying to do at all. But the reason why we list the name of the person is that that is the credibility of the data record. It's that this is Will Swaim and he earns X amount. Now, you could, if you wanted to, you could go to work for a private sector company and your salary presumably would be confidential because guess what? They get to decide what they want to do with their money.
That's right.
But in government, civil servants are employees of the people.
That's right.
And so we get to look at, well, I wonder how much that person's earning. It's not designed to marginalize or objectify or focus in on one individual. It really is about the position that they hold and what are we paying for positions.
And about a couple of key features. I mean, one is just that democracy requires sunlight. You can't operate in the dark. Number two, and really important, we had union leaders in California for decades telling us that people like you, people like me, were exaggerating how much public employees made.
The poor police officers are only earning $39,000.
Right.
And then you would say, well, what do you mean? Well, look at the budget. Entry-level police officer, $39,000. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
Let me see the W-2 form. Let me see what you report to. Oh, wait a minute. $39,000 plus specialty pay, add-on pay, bonus pay, uniform allowance. I mean, boom, boom, boom. And now it's a $70,000, $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 position.
Entry-level position, yes.
Entry-level,
because the average policeman earns far more than that.
Yeah.
But what they would do is they would also, the unions would take somebody who would work for 3 months in a summer program in a city park.
And they would mush it in with the average for people that work 12 months out of the year.
Exactly.
Well, I say work in air quotes.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. So you have somebody who's a firefighter making like, say, $250,000 a year.
Which is actually about what they're making.
It's about
$250,000 a year.
Yeah. If you're in municipal fire,
yeah,
city, county, yeah. So they would do that. They would take that guy and they take Will Swaim, who worked at,
2 weeks.
For 2 weeks
and say, well, look, the average is only $100,000.
Yes,
and that's with the overtime and the benefits.
And risking their lives.
And they're risking their lives.
That's right. So the point
you need the data on an individualized basis so that you can get the granularity of what is the actual mean, the average.
You got it.
So that you have a good sense for what and knowing what we're paying on average for a firefighter or a librarian or a groundskeeper. That is important because we need to decide, are we overcompensating? Right. Are we undercompensating? And if we're overcompensating, why?
Yes.
And the answer is, well, the government unions decide everything in government in the state of California. And that's where a lot of our money's going to. And they like to say, well, we need more police officers. We need more teachers. Not at $250,000.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah, I think that you brought up a really good example. I'll offer my own. That is that this is important for your listeners, our listeners here right now, to understand, because there will come a moment really soon in everybody's community. This happens all the time, where a government union will come out and say, we need to get paid more. Like our schools are falling apart and our teachers are underpaid or our cops are underpaid.
It's always, they use the window dressing of the popular professions.
Bingo. And so what you need to do there, though, is to go find out. Like I took the challenge once with Orange Unified. It's a school district inside Orange County in the city of Orange, basically. And there, the union was saying, like, look, we don't get paid enough. And the evidence is we can't even afford to hire an entry-level AP chemistry teacher because nobody will take this job for $48,000 a year. And gosh, isn't that terrible that we're only allowed to pay $48,000 a year for an entry-level position? Well, you know who created the contract that stipulates only an entry-level position can make $48,000? The union did. Why? Yeah. Because they want to reward your seniority in the union.
The step increases, the longevity
and
pays.
It's always limited to your union. So in Orange, what they did not want to tell you was that they had at that time, I think, 3 or 4 pre-K teachers. Now, these are people who teach, no offense to them, they're babysitters.
Right.
But
think Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez with like a ruler.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. So you could have these pre-K teachers making between $90,000 and $120,000 per year. Because they'd been there for 10 years or 12 years or whatever. But you can't hire an AP chemistry teacher for that because he or she had just graduated, was only in their first year, so you're only allowed to pay them $48,000 a year, and they're just going to go into private industry and say, screw this, I'm out.
Right.
So it's a system that is designed to reward your loyalty to your local union. These are not transportable benefits. We did a terrific story about a teacher who moved here from New York to Santa Ana, California. She had 19 years teaching in New York. She was a teacher of the year twice in 3 years, I think, in Santa Ana, and then was laid off because they had a financial crisis. They were paying teachers too much. So they laid off this teacher.
Last in, first out.
She was the last in, but they said, oh, well, these are the least experienced teachers. No, she's not the least experienced.
Yeah, it's not merit-based. It's all based on,
seniority in
the hourglass and the little sands that are dropping through.
Yeah.
So Transparent California is out there. You got the salaries and you have the pensions. You still have government agencies, even today, even though you've won all these court cases, that still try to give you guys the hassle and the runaround, and in some cases skew some of the data. They when the reporters get the information, they say, "Well, but that's just certain information that's incomplete."
That's right.
How can you be incomplete when you're literally getting the W-2 data that goes to the IRS?
From the government to the government. That's right. Yes. Well, you can't be. And you're right. And kudos to our friends at Nevada Policy Research Institute, and especially the aforementioned Robert Fellner, who just dogs these people. He does not let this get away. And that's why this site, I think, Transparent California, remains one of the most potent
I love it.
Political tools.
Whenever I get someone who calls into the show and they say, oh, you're lying about the salaries and I don't earn that much, I'm like, well, apparently you're not in on the scheme. Somehow, you're not getting your bonus pay, specialty pay, add-on pay. But go online and you can see by name your colleagues and what they're pulling in.
Well, and that's why I wanted to add just one last point. This is neither left nor right nor political, but we have evidence, we have reason to believe that many of the visitors to Transparent California are really there to find out how much Joe in the next cubicle is making. Like,
absolutely.
Is he making as much as I am? Am I getting the best deal here? So they'll check out all of their colleagues on the floor and find out, like, oh, I'm making better, more than all these guys. I better keep my damn mouth shut.
Right.
Pardon my language.
No.
Yeah. So it is kind of funny to see that there's that going on. That's common to any workspace, public or private. Everybody wants to know how much everybody else makes.
Right now, most of what happens with Transparent California, the website, is what you just mentioned, is people are curious about what people are earning in their department for government employees. Taxpayers go on and they get angry, and it kind of reinforces their original belief that the government pays more than it needs to in the labor market. Sometimes we get reporters writing decent stories talking about, hey, this budget that's about to be voted on, this labor contract may not, but most of the time not, because they're the reporters don't actually want to do data. How would you like to see the data used?
Well, I think that the ways we've described it are all perfectly reasonable. Seriously, I think that the important thing here right now is just I just want to say the existence of the website lets government know that people have the opportunity, even if they don't take advantage of it, they have the opportunity to look inside government. And I think that's critical. Knowing that somebody is watching you, what's that old Latin phrase, something about who will watch the watchers? Us. We're watching. We're watching the people who are supposed to be watching. Number one. How would I also like to see it used? I think the data speaks for itself, especially in those instances where we hear government employees, and especially their government union representatives, saying, we don't make enough, or they misrepresent how much they make. I think that in underscoring the pension crisis, this is a huge tool. We know that many local lawmakers, especially those who are affiliated with our organization, we have a group called CLEO, the California Local Elected Officials. These are Democrats,
I'm speaking
Republicans.
At the group on the 26th
you
of
are
September.
Indeed. Thanks for coming,
Looking forward to it.
So those people can know. Like I've talked to local officials who said they're in the middle, they're up on the dais at City Hall, and the union leader is up there at the public comments
One
desk.
side of the story.
Yes, saying, we're underpaid, you're trashing us, you're destroying education, you hate the poor, we're not making enough.
And the city manager sitting there,
Nodding.
shaking his head saying, that's right, I need more money to recruit quality employees.
That's right.
I need, you have me at a disadvantage, my hands are tied, I need more money, I can't recruit.
Right.
So they're all in on the scam.
Yes.
And if we do have good elected officials up there, which again in California is usually a stretch, they don't have the data to be able to say,
That's right.
excuse me, but why is the librarian earning $120,000 a year?
Right.
Dewey Decimal System is not that complicated.
Right.
So,
well, and also we got this AP chemistry teacher out here we'd sure like to hire, and we can't get him in at $48,000 a year. So yes, it's that. Local officials have told me they've been on the dais, dialed up Transparent California on their phone, on their laptop, and been immediately able to counter the narrative.
Yeah.
I think these are some of the most critical features. It's also just interesting to know about the relationship between all of the people who are listed in Transparent California and the unions who have tapped their wallets. Every single one of those people, you see all that money flowing through, just know that in the background of that, and this is not really about Transparent California, just know that anybody you're looking up on that website is somebody likely contributing right now, unwillingly, perhaps, to their
unknowingly
union.
to a Democrat elected official. So lots of benefit, lots of value and utility from this website. I plan to utilize this website at all my press conferences when we talk about the budget and the fiscal reform. And I'm going to, basically, whenever I endorse a candidate, it's going to be one of the things that I'm going to talk about is that, hey, go on the stump, talk about the actual salaries and benefits in your jurisdiction and how you're going to try to reform compensation so it's fair. No better, no worse than the same position in the private sector. That ought to be our standard, which is a very fair and fiscally responsible standard. Will Swaim, California Policy Center. What's your website?
CaliforniaPolicyCenter.org.
And you can go to transparentcalifornia.org.
I think it's .com, actually.
.com.
I believe it is .com.
All right. I keep screwing that up.
You know what? They're going to find it because I think they also own both those names. So.
All right. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. Will Swaim with Transparent California. Great guy. We love the work that they're doing. We appreciate the fact that they are shining a light and making government more transparent. Now, I need you to do something. I'm the one that will be out there doing press conferences when they try to raise taxes, revealing this information. This website's not effective unless we have principled leaders that are willing to take the issue public and educate the voters before they approve tax increases. In order for me to do that, I've got to capture this congressional seat. So please contribute whatever you can. Even $5 helps build our movement. Sign up to volunteer. Share the website with all of your friends. And of course, spread the word about this podcast. We need to get people to listen. We need them to subscribe. They can get us on their favorite podcast platform like iHeartRadio, Spotify, iTunes, and they can also get us on demand at carldemaio.com. Go to the website, carldemaio.com or forabettercalifornia.com, and you can get part of this movement to take back our state. That does it for this episode. We'll pick it up again next time. Hope you're doing well. This podcast was paid for by Carl DeMaio for Congress. I'm Carl DeMaio, and I approved this message.